The most obedient dog that I know. Look at this guy. Say hi, buddy. Alright, anyway. So, so today, guys, I'm going to be going over how you can make the most power with this car, with the Z, obviously, without pulling the motor. Anyone who knows, anything about this car knows obviously it's difficult to work on and it's a pain, and if you're looking to make big power, such as like replacing turbos or exhaust manifolds, you got to pull the motor. Well, I'm going to go over what you can do to push this thing up to 400 plus wheel horsepower with just a few modifications, and it'll most certainly make this car come to life. Okay, so the very first thing that I would do with this Z is the way this car was engineered. As you can see, you have intercooler piping on each side. Obviously with the twin turbos as well too, you have one on each side back behind the motor, and the way their intercoolers are set up, they have both, there's two side mounts, they don't have a big front mount. Have their own individual piece except for the intake. So under this nose panel that I'm not going to take off because I'm lazy, even though it's literally 2 bolts, comes stock a single intake. The first thing you want to do is you want to convert that to a dual, for a number of reasons. One, you have 2 different sides of the motor, or 2 different intercoolers pulling from one intake, which you're hoping is being split 50-50 as far as airflow goes. But secondly, it's going to allow you to run a second MAF sensor, and it's truly going to be able to allow the car to breathe. I mean, it's really as simple as that. As we know, more air in, more fuel, more air out, and in the most efficient way possible is going to create the most power possible. So first thing that I do, no matter what, is put in that dual intake. So next, from that dual intake, you most certainly want to upgrade these intercoolers. Now these intercoolers are pretty badass. They can truly handle a lot of power, but why not make it run more efficient? Why not make it colder and allow for more airflow as well too? So I am running the Ashbeck massive intercoolers, one on each side. I personally would not switch to a front mount unless you just want that front mount look. Let the car breathe individually the way it's set up, and also too, these side mounts are super badass. They can handle power, up to 1,000 horsepower, well beyond most builds needs, and they truly are phenomenal, and they fit, right? Even though they're maybe 2.5 inches thick, and add another, let's say 12 rows, they fit, they work, they're made for the car, they're proven, and yeah, most certainly going to be a huge added bonus to making power from this car. Now I wouldn't necessarily add these to my list if I'm only going to be doing a few things to make power, but it will certainly help, and that would be the piping. So the stock piping is obviously not going to be as valuable as these hard pipes, or even Z1 has the silicone tubes, if you want to call them that. They're obviously a little bit bigger, they're smoother, so they allow for better airflow and everything along those lines. Based on making the most bang for your buck power-wise, I'm not going to throw them in the video, but please know that, especially those tubes, the silicone tubes, they're not pricey at all, but they will most certainly help. Another thing is throttle bodies. So I have larger throttle bodies on there. Obviously can help with, more volume, throttle response, everything along those. But again, most bang for your buck with just a few modifications. Those are really kind of like add-ons. So. Alright, so if we come to the back of the car, the number 3, I guess. I don't know where I'm at. It really doesn't matter because there is no set number. But exhaust. Obviously, these cars are quiet from the dealer, um, but exhaust is a must. It sounds badass, and plus you're now taking in all that extra air, so we need to get it out. So I have the Z1 PG3 exhaust. I actually am doing an entire video on the exhaust system because there has been a lot of people asking me what I am running. But when I say exhaust, I'm literally talking about the entire system. So I am running the PG3 exhausts. Then I have the Specialty Z H pipes, and then it runs up to the MSP manifolds. And like I said, the exhaust manifolds are not something that you can do or highly recommend for you to even attempt doing without pulling the motor. I have seen a video before where people, or one guy, has tried to install exhaust manifolds. He said it was a success, but I'm pretty sure it took like 3, maybe 2 or 3 days, and I'm pretty sure he was unsure about a bolt, whether he didn't put it in at all or it wasn't torqued down properly. I mean, the car is jam-packed. It's super tough. Just pull the motor if you're going to do that. Throw on bigger turbos, and you know, the motor can handle, stock motor can easily handle, 500, 550, horsepower to do that. So if you plan on hitting that type of a number, just do it. Just pull the motor. But anyway, like I said, PG3 exhaust, Specialty Z H pipes, they're going to make a huge difference. And again, obviously there'll be a little bit of a bottleneck if you don't replace those exhaust manifolds, but in the long run, with those 2 modifications, with the intake and intercoolers, and then the exhaust, you're most certainly going to be throwing on a few wheel horsepowers that are going to make a big difference, and it's going to sound badass. So who doesn't want that? All right, guys. So, and lastly, and I'm going to say lastly because I'm going to do 2 together. But lastly, in my opinion, the biggest improvement that you're going to get in horsepower and just performance in general is going to be your injectors. And like I said, putting them together, because the injectors that I recommend you put in are, ID 1000s, ID 1300s. And with that, and the reason for going so high is to convert to E85. These motors, they run a little warm, especially if you're not pulling it and you're not going in and cleaning up the internals and creating, a better water passage and everything along those lines. They run hot. So E85 is not a bad idea for this motor. Also too, it will allow you to create a little bit more boost, if you can, out of those stock turbos. And the ID 1000s, I think they're 1050s, or like I said, 1300s can most certainly handle the E85. They're actually made for any type of fuel source. I will say, a pain in the ass. So the car is currently set up for E85. You can see the newer hoses, silicone hoses on there. That is a pain. It does have to run all the way back, all the way down to the fuel pump, right? There you go. So that is a little bit of a pain. And the injectors, I would do them right by pulling the plenum. So does definitely require a little work, and those injectors are a little pricey, but that hands down is going to give you the most bang for your buck. If you combine all those together, you are most certainly looking at 400 plus wheel horsepower. Of course, you need a good tune. Make sure you have a reputable tuner. And you, I mean, this car at that power is a extremely fun car, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I am a little nervous as and again, I'll start releasing the videos pretty soon. But as I'm building this second motor that I have, I'm a little nervous because I don't want the car to lose its fun at that 700-ish wheel horsepower. I don't want it to, kind of become an uncomfortable car to drive, so to speak. But it will be freaking badass at the same time. But the only reason why I say that is because at this 500 horsepower that I'm at now, which is a safe tune, the car is amazing. It is so fun to drive, and it's fast as shit. I mean, the other day was on the highway in a Challenger, 392, I think that's what they are, pulled up alongside of me, and he was extremely embarrassed. So, I mean, the car is fun to drive like this. So if you are not looking to build the motor, and you are looking for a badass street car, these modifications will most certainly get you to that number, and you'll definitely have a ton of fun with the car. So guys, with all that being said, please know that this 30 plus year old car, or 25 plus year old car, I would most certainly also check into a lot of the suspension mods, the underbody. You want to make sure that the car is healthy to run this amount of power. Obviously it's going to be a lot more stress on the body itself, on some of those old bolts, on those tiny ass end links that are in the front of the car. I would definitely look into changing those out as well, but that's an entirely different video that we can do if you guys would like. But if you're truly just looking for the power aspect, I would most certainly, in my opinion of course, I would most certainly go that way. Please kind of give me if you guys would do anything different, or if there's anything else that you would add to this list that is really kind of a must-have for this vehicle. But yeah, I hope this helped. Please like, please subscribe, and I will definitely catch you guys in the next video.